Anthony. I appreciate that introduction, and thanks to everybody. I know it's a crazy, crazy time of year, with AEP going on, and I think it's always fun to do these webinars, but sometimes it's hard to get enough people to join because everybody's so busy, and it looks like we've got a great group out there today. So again, I appreciate it, and excuse me, bear with me a little bit. I've got a little bit of a cold or something. I know it's not COVID, so I'm okay from that aspect, but I don't know. I'm just kind of I don't know if I'm on the backside of it or the beginning of it, but so if I throw you on mute real quick, it's just I don't want you to have to hear if I have to cough or something. So my apologies for that. But let's start with CVS. Anthony hit the nail on the head. When we got purchased by CVS, it was a pretty interesting time. I mean, I've been around long enough that I was part of the Genworth Financial organization when they purchased Continental Life Insurance Company of Brentwood, Tennessee, back many, many years ago. I think it was October of 2006. And, we were part of the Genworth family. And then I think it was 2011 we got purchased by Aetna, and I thought that was a great merger between us and Aetna. And obviously right now with CVS, with the COVID situation that we're in, CVS Health being a real instrumental and a leader in what's going on from the testing aspect to delivering people's prescription drugs with drones and different things like that they are doing, being very creative in a way to help people so they can stay safe. I just think this CVS Aetna merger thing, if you want to call it that, or come together, it's just a really strong Fortune 5 company, out there. So I'm going to mix this up just a little bit. I'm going to start with the Medicare supplements first, and then we'll close with the final expense. And keep in mind now, when you look at these slides or you hear me speak to some of these slides, this is is our new Accendo product. It's actually an entity that CVS had on their shelf, copyrighted or whatever you want to call it. It was just sitting there. We were looking for a creative way to obviously introduce our first ever CVS Health product. And that was a way we could get it done quickly. So you're going to notice that this Accendo name, I don't know where or who came up with that name. It's kind of an interesting name. I know the first several times we've talked about Accendo to the field, they were like, "What are you saying? What is that? Ascend? What? Ascend?" No, it's similar to what we use actually on the Medicare Advantage and PDP side. Their system is called Ascend, but this is actually Accendo. And so as we get into this, take a look at this. We are constantly working on adding additional states. So I know a lot of you folks, it's morning there where you are, or it could be afternoon, depending on how you market or where you market. I know one thing I just saw today, there's another state we're going to be adding to the Accendo family for Medicare supplements on November 11th, and that's Maryland. I don't know if anybody happens to be out there or working in that particular market space, but Accendo will be coming online. The first submission date will be November 11th. I just saw that this morning, so I just kind of added that. But you can see in the states now where it's red, where they are red, that's where the coverage for Accendo is. And also keep in mind that, obviously we've been doing this a long time. And we have other entities that I'm sure you're familiar with that are more on the Aetna side, that being, for instance, Continental Life Insurance Company of Brentwood, Tennessee, American Continental, Aetna Health Insurance Company, Aetna Life Insurance Company, and so forth. We have those entities. The idea of the Accendo is just to add an additional opportunity or an additional product, okay? So the idea is not that these other entities are going away, and you're going to notice that as we get in here and we talk a little bit more about it, actually it's right here on this next slide at the bottom. Accendo is not replacing any current products. Both Medicare supplement pricing options will show. And that's really neat because if you have not been in our quote and enroll tool, which is actually at our landing page, which is our home page, if you want to call it that, AetnaSeniorProducts.com. Again, that's AetnaSeniorProducts.com, so it's all one word. You log in there on the upper right-hand side with members, or your members can do it once they're enrolled, but you'll log in as an agent, obviously. And when you're going through your quote with your client, or if you're just playing around with it, we actually have a link in there. If you on the left-hand side where it says quote and enroll, there's a place called Sandbox, and you can actually get into that link or click that link, and you can get in there and play around with it. So you don't have to worry about accidentally submitting something or going through the process. You can get yourself familiar with it before you actually use it, and hopefully many of you are using it. But with that being said, you have the opportunity to click on a button that says compare. And it's going to allow you to actually compare the Accendo Medicare supplement that's in that given state or whatever entity is currently being offered in that state. So if it's Continental Life or if it's an American Continental entity or whatever it is. And you can actually see which one fits better for your client, which one maybe is a better deal. It has a toggle switch on it where you can actually toggle and put on or take off household discount. And so household discount is kind of important because we've got a whole new definition of household discount on the CVS Accendo Medicare supplement plan. Okay? So what's nice is, and that's what this is trying to illustrate here, typically our Aetna Medicare supplements have and that again, I keep using Continental Life or American Continental, etc. They tend to have a 7% household discount. In order to trigger that or to get that, you have to have two policy holders. So there has to be two Aetna policies issued in order to actually take advantage of the 7%. So what happens is, let's say that the husband has been with us for a couple years. So he's 67 or 68 or something. Now the wife is coming on board, or the domestic partner, or in this case, whoever it may be, is coming on, and they're going to purchase their Aetna Medicare supplement as well. That new person applying, the wife, the spouse, she will get the 7% household discount immediately on her new premium, because it's going to ask you to actually include the other applicant, his policy number in there, and policy information. It's really simple. It's not as bad as it sounds. Then what will happen is, again, she gets the 7% household discount immediately off her premium, and he will get his premium adjusted with the 7% off the next time his premium's due. So if he's paying monthly, he will get it the following bill cycle. The application fee is $20 on the traditional Aetna products, if you want to call it that. But check this out. This is what's cool. Because with CVS Accendo MedSup, we changed the rules, okay? And most, and again, this is why I think that compare tab is neat to use, so you can figure out which opportunity works best for your client. There's a 14% household discount on the CVS Accendo product. The definition for the household discount is no longer, now I do have some states coming up, I'll show you this, there's like 3 or so, give or take. But typically, you just have to have someone over the age of 18 or 19. I mean, that can vary sometimes in states. I know where I live, it's 18 is the age to be considered an adult. The state right across the river, it's 19. So, but regardless, typically you can say 18. 18 years of age or older, and as long as that person is residing with your applicant, they can take advantage of the 14% household discount. Technically, they're supposed to have been there for at least 12 consecutive months. So again, you're seeing a different, and I'll just close with this. You can see the application fee is $25. The application fee, just so you know, is just a one-time fee up front. It's not something that's tacked in there every year or every month. They just pay it one time. And so you have the opportunity to see which plan is going to be best for your client or clients, depending on how it works. And there's some situations, depending on what state you might be selling in, like whether it be Iowa or Illinois or South Carolina, Michigan, what have you, where the Accendo product is there. But it could be that the traditional entity, an American Continental, for instance, could be a better buy for your two clients at 7% off than just doing one or doing them both on the CVS Accendo. So again, that's a little deeper probably than I needed to go, but it's the same underwriting. People will say, well, what's the difference? And I'll say, well, really, to me, there's only the difference is this. One is the Accendo has the CVS Health logo on it, along with Aetna. Two, it's got the new definition for the household discount, which is great. And three, bottom line is it's just another path for you to do what's right for your client. So that's the household discount. I talked about some of the states that we have that are a little different, and really the three states I guess I'd really zero in on. You can see Florida and Vermont at this time, we don't have household discounts. I'm not 100% certain why Vermont doesn't allow it, but I know Florida doesn't allow carriers to offer it. We actually thought we were going to get away with it and get to actually be able to add it. We still continually work in various states to get changes made, but we had not been able to persuade the DOI in Florida to change anything. But Illinois, two people must both have an active Aetna or Accendo policy, and then Ohio and Oklahoma, two people both must have an active Accendo. So that's a little different if you're selling in either of those three particular states. Pennsylvania, you just have to live with someone you're in a legal relationship with. So you can see that overall, most states right now where we offer the Accendo, it's just somebody over the age of 18. So take a look at that for what it's worth. I think one thing that's really neat in these states where we've kicked off the Accendo or launched it over the past, I don't know how long it's been, 7 months, 8 months. Remember that we're very competitive with what we called and kind of nicknamed our macro strategy. And so in a lot of these states that where Accendo is, we have very, very good and very, very competitive, traditional, whatever you want to call it, American Continental, whatever entity is there, the Aetna entity. And you can go out and look at our Plan F. And if you have, I'm just telling you, this is kind of a sidebar. If you have an opportunity to get someone underwritten over to one of our plans, take a look at those Plan F rates because they're very competitive. You still have those people that turned 65 prior to 1/1 of 2020 that can still, that are still eligible to purchase the old plans. So they can still purchase a Plan F, or they can move from, let's just say my old company I worked for a million years, Mutual of Omaha. Let's say they've had a Mutual of Omaha plan for 5 years. Their health is pretty good, or maybe it's really good. They've had 5 rate-ups by now. Talk to your client, see how their health is doing, if they're still healthy enough, and take a look in some of these states. And there's more, obviously, than just what's on here. These are just the Accendo states. But you just know that those rates are very competitive. And hopefully, again, a lot of you are probably already aware of that. But our strategy behind that macro strategy was to go after some of that good business and get that underwritten business, because at the end of the day, the more underwritten business we can, you folks can drive to us and that we can pick up, the better it is for your clients and the better it is for you as far as the rates go with rate adjustments. And that's why we're seeing a tremendous amount of underwritten business coming into us, which is outstanding. So appreciate, for those of you that are doing that, we totally appreciate it. And it's only going to help you and everyone else as far as the members. So let's talk about automated underwriting. When we talked about this last October, I remember being on the road and we took some of the underwriters, one of the head underwriters out. We were doing meetings in Illinois and different places like that. And, it was fun to talk to people about this new automated underwriting because it was really groundbreaking. And I don't know how many of you have had an opportunity to pick up or get on our website and run an e-app, but bottom line is automated underwriting is so cool because you have the opportunity within maybe 3 to 4 minutes, give or take, depending on maybe your internet speed, if that client is approved, declined, or that we may need a little bit more information. We call it needs further review. And so all applications are automatically sent through this system. We actually, even if you use a paper app, it's more tedious. It's a longer process. If you're faxing applications into us, hopefully everybody, especially during this pandemic situation, is utilizing the e-app. It's really the best. It is by far the fastest and the easiest way. You can get paid faster. You have that automated underwriting feature in there, and I kind of use this terminology, kind of makes it idiot proof, dumb proof. You can't forget to answer a question. I mean, you know, whether it be put your writing number on there or sign the app, or, you know, one question that, you know, historically over years past, we have paper apps gets missed is, are you a U.S. citizen? Just different questions like that, you know, that can be missed. You have the opportunity to make it with an e-app. You can't submit it unless everything is there. So just some statistics that our underwriting team likes to share. 92% of these apps that are being submitted, the total applications, that they actually have an RX history alert. We still actually ask for obviously for the prescriptions. You type them in there, and we use a company, and I've got a slide coming up on it. I'm kind of stealing my own thunder a little bit, called Milliman. They've been around for, I forget, well, I think it's well over 100 years. But we teamed up with those guys to actually create this automated underwriting. And it's continuously a work in progress, because new prescriptions come out, you know, prescriptions change for this and that. But at the end of the day, it's a system that's really cool. And, you know, as you look at these numbers, 92%, as I mentioned, 8% of total applications that don't have RX history alert. So in other words, nothing's getting raised, a red flag, it goes right through. 52% of the time, we're able to make an immediate auto decision. And that's where I think, you know, and again, keep in mind, when you think about these numbers, this is on underwritten cases. So if you have a situation where you're writing someone that's an open enrollment, or somebody that's a guarantee issue situation, where obviously we don't ask health questions, right? So, you know, you're going to go right through it, and boom, you're telling them immediately, yes, your policy's been approved. I mean, how slick is that? No more waiting 5 to 7 days, or 3 days, or 4 days. You know, we pay commissions twice a year, or twice a year. Yeah, we're just going to start paying it twice a year with COVID, twice a week on Wednesdays and Fridays. So, you know, you can get paid faster. And I think that's always critical, you know, and maybe other people have different ways of getting paid. It's a different schedule. But typically for us as a home office, the way we pay commissions is usually Wednesdays and so forth. So again, just another way for you to get paid faster. 90% of the applications are given an auto decision immediately. 90%. 10% of the applications with immediate auto decisions are declined. Now, the one thing I'll say is, you know, you do have situations that come up, and, you know, they can be a different, just different situation, different drugs. We take a look at all the declines. It's not, and when we look at those, and I say that we work with Milliman to do that, you know, we've improved our process to get you prompt decisions. It's an automated underwriting decision when using the e-app. We don't require any longer a telephone interview. You know, and that was one thing that, you know, we used to get beat up pretty bad, and many of you may have been with us over the years, that we did a telephone interview on every underwritten application. And those underwritten applications, you know, we ask for that business. We want that business. It's critical for us to get it. But one of the headaches for it was that telephone interview. And a lot of folks that took or did the telephone interview, I'm saying that being your clients, members, etc., felt like that you know, right or wrong, and probably more wrong than right, that the people doing the telephone interview were, you know, maybe almost to a degree, sometimes abusive, sometimes trying to like maybe diagnose them with some kind of a, you know, an illness or something they didn't have. And, you know, and sometimes seniors, and we all know this working with them, you know, they may be a little confused sometimes. They may not know why they're taking a particular drug. They may have hearing issues. They could be a foreign speaking person, and even though we had foreign folks, you know, being able to speak French or Spanish or whatever, sometimes it was hard for these folks to go get through that interview. So we stopped it. Now, we will make a call out to a client, and I talked about it earlier. If we get the issued, or let me rephrase that, approved, declined, or needs further review. If we need further review, we will actually call out to the client, and we will ask them, hey, and typically what I find historically, that what the reason that they're calling is it's because the person is typically on a dual use drug. And that's a drug that could be obviously used for multiple purposes, multiple conditions, and we're just not sure which condition you're taking it for. And these calls are typically less than 5 minutes. It's really just to say, hey, Mrs. Smith, can you tell me what, give me some information, a little bit more information around this, and then that allows the decision to be made, whether it can be approved or if we do end up having to decline it. And remember, like it says here where it says it's a reminder, but remember you can check the status of your applications on our enrollment tracker. We've got a lot of great tools out there if you haven't been out there to manage your business. I know many of you folks are doing, you work on your own, you manage your own business just like a business owner like you are. And, the more information we can put at your fingertips so that in the evenings or on the weekends, that if you want to go and you want to check on, maybe you don't remember what plan you sold one of your clients. Maybe you don't remember what the premium is. Maybe you don't remember maybe you sold them life insurance and you don't remember what face amount it was or what plan on a Medicare supplement it was. You have all of that information right there. Tips for even faster service to make sure that we can get you an accurate underwriting decision. Here are a few tips. Use that quote and enroll tool. Can't beat it. When we first came out with that, I think about that quote and enroll, and I hear a lot of feedback, obviously, because I work with the agents out on the front firing line, and I hear them say, I have to admit, you guys have got the best quote and enroll, and I think back to when we first launched this, I forget how many years ago, what it was like, and all I ever heard from the agents is, such and such carriers is easier than yours. And so are these guys, And so now it's really cool after all these years, all of our great IT team, and honestly, a lot of it, the changes that have been made to the website are from you folks. When we do surveys or we get feedback that you could do this or you should do that, or hey, have you guys thought about doing this? Or maybe another carrier is doing something, and they're like, hey, have you guys thought about doing this? They're doing it. And not that we want to copy everybody, but we're our IT folks. John Jevin heads that department up. You may see his column sometimes from his blog or sometimes from our Pace Center that goes out every month. Given that he gets updates and things, they're open to making this the best quote and roll experience for you folks. And then we'll let you know of any missing information or errors before you submit. Review the list of medications. We do have a whole list. And it's a little bit more detailed list on Medicare supplements when it's underwritten than say like our ancillary products, like the cancer, heart attack, stroke product or something, or hospital indemnity. Those lists are shorter, knockout drugs, but take a look at that. And then answer the health questions accurately and don't leave the list of medications blank. And make sure that, if this really helps our underwriting folks out. If the person isn't taking any medications, just have them list none. Or you folks, you're doing the app, have them list none. Okay? And, if something does come up where there is a decline, now we don't handle because of our relationship with Milliman, and this is really important for you folks to know this because if something happens, a client gets declined, don't call our underwriters. You actually have to go through this process on how to collect or how to contact Milliman. Okay, and again, so if you think that maybe we declined a case and it shouldn't have been declined, maybe we didn't, whatever the reason wasn't fully understood. Maybe we got some wrong information from the client that was confused as to why they were taking or what they were taking the prescription for example. You need to reach out to Milliman in order to get that information, and then they can provide you or your client with a copy to really zero in on why or what happened. And our underwriting team can't review auto-declined applications without an updated without I don't know why they have, but they didn't end that right, but it should be, they can't, bottom line is they can't review an auto decline application. It has to go through Milliman. Okay, so that's a little different. A lot of people still like to call our underwriters and say, well, what are you doing? Why are you doing it? And so we just need to make sure that you're going down the right path. So that's really the Medicare supplement side of things as far as, the Accendo goes. It's not something that obviously the slides that we have here for you today talks more about the advantages and how hopefully this can work for you. Rather than getting into a deeper dive on what MedSup is and how MedSup work, or how Medicare and MedSups work together. We do offer training on those, a deeper dive, if you want to call it that are available for you folks. If you go to our AetnaSeniorProducts.com website and go to our training tab, we keep them listed out there. Actually, quite frankly, the presentations are there for you to utilize if you want to review. And you can sign up and register for additional webinars. And again, whether it's Medicare supplement or any of these products that I'm going to touch on real quickly here, which we call our ancillary products. And I hope a lot of you have had a chance to work with some of these, because we really feel that these products, given the situation that people are in nowadays, especially, but even previously, before, a lot of folks' health and situations haven't changed at all. I mean, the pandemic has definitely caused a lot of different situations for us, and different health issues potentially. But at the end of the day, you look at, for instance, like the first product listed there, Hospital Indemnity Flex. During AEP and even outside of AEP, this can be written all year round, and it is designed to offer either a daily benefit or a or a lump sum benefit for someone that's looking to potentially offset deductibles and copays. It really, you can't find a better wraparound product, and I know I'm probably not supposed to say wraparound, and some people, but it really does help, fill out a Medicare Advantage plan, or if somebody even has like a high deductible major medical plan or a group plan, this is a great option. There's flexible coverage, and it's also simplified underwriting. It's not none of these products that we have, except for DVH, is a guarantee issue. But the ancillary products, as I mentioned earlier, the number of dock-out drugs the drug list is significantly less, and it's simplified underwriting. So what I mean by simplified underwriting is you can go down and ask them the health questions. If they say no to the health questions, and there's not as many, we don't, again, underwrite this like a MedSup. But if they answer no to the health questions, they qualify. If they throw out a yes somewhere, if they're applying for a hospital indemnity plan and they're currently in a nursing facility, they're not going to qualify. Or if they have AIDS, for instance. The cancer, heart attack, stroke, or stroke product plus next is a great plan. You can sell this product as a cancer lump sum plan by itself, or sell it as a cancer, heart attack, or stroke. That way, if you have something happen, whether it be cancer, or if you have a heart attack or stroke, the plan pays out a benefit. Treatment is expensive. I mean, that's the bottom line. I was talking to an agent yesterday in the state of Kansas that wrote 13 of these cancer policies last week. And he was I was calling about something else, and he was telling me that, and I said, oh my gosh. I said, 13. I said, well, I got to ask you. I said, hey, what are you pitching, or how are you pitching it? And he goes, I'm just talking to about cancer. I said, well, are you talking to about heart attack or stroke? And he goes, no. He goes, really not. He goes, I could, but I like to keep it simple. He says, I talk about the cancer benefit, the statistics that we have on cancer, although the statistics on heart attack or stroke are just as bad, if you want to call it that. But he says, I just prefer to do it that way. He goes, if I get down that road where I find out somebody's had, a history of heart attack or stroke in their family, for instance, he goes, I can take it there. But he goes, I just really enjoy selling the lump sum cancer. And he wrote 13 of them just last week. And this is one of our top agents, one of our top 200 agents in the country. So, he still does a lot of MedSup and other things. But it's just interesting in how people approach that. You don't have to try to be a jack of all trades. You don't have to offer all of these products or be what's the word I'm looking for? An expert in every one of these. But our brochures are laid out to give you some information in there to kind of make more like a story, if you want to call it that, rather than dwell on just here's the benefits, here's the cost, here's the reason why you should have a cancer, heart attack, or stroke product. Check out these statistics. Dental, vision, hearing, I mentioned that's a guarantee issue plan. We actually have You can use it in network or out of network. As far as the dental benefit goes, we use what it's called the Carrington Network, as well as Dentamax. Those are the entities that were the providers that we use for this dental, vision. Well, they can't use it for vision or hearing, but you can use it for dental. We have True Hearing. We have a lot of great other networks that you can use for vision and hearing as well. But bottom line is, you're able to sell a $1,000 maximum benefit or annual benefit, a $1,500, and we just recently introduced, I think it was in August, a $2,000 benefit annual. There is a $100 deductible per person per calendar year, but there's no waiting for preventative services. So this is our number one selling plan, and obviously it makes sense in a way probably because it's pretty easy, I think, in general, to have a conversation about, as you're talking to someone, maybe you're wrapping up their final expense or maybe their Medicare supplement or their Medicare Advantage plan, and you just say, hey, and I know some Medicare Advantage plans have coverage for dental, but you could say, well, Dave, let me ask you something, maybe you see they have glasses on. Maybe you see they have a hearing aid on, or dental. Did you have dental when you were working? Well, yeah. They may not have had vision and hearing necessarily. They may have. But how easy is that really to get that? Guarantee issue, ages 18 to 89. That's one thing I would say is, you could look at these products. Hospital indemnity is ages 18 to 89. Cancer, heart attack, stroke, 18 to 89. The dental and vision is 18 to 89. Recovery, now there's one listed on here. We have two short-term care products. A recovery care, many of you are probably familiar with these. The recovery care is more geared towards nursing facility, custodial, intermediate. It's more of your facility type coverages. You have the option to actually add a rider on there to add home health care, which is great. Because one thing we know, and you folks know this, that when somebody applies, as great as long-term care is, and I sold it myself, and I'm a firm believer in it. I love it. But a couple of issues, right, that we have with that. One is it's kind of pricey. Two is maybe that there's fewer and fewer carriers offering long-term care than there used to be. And, I think three, health-wise, to qualify is tough, especially the older you are. I mean, how many times you guys and gals probably run into this all the time where you go through a situation and, mom qualifies for a particular plan, but dad doesn't. Or grandpa and grandma you're talking to at the kitchen table. And one can't, and then the other one says, I don't know if they did it to you, but they told me, well, I don't want this. If Joe can't get it, I don't want this, or vice versa. And so here's an option with recovery care, and also we have a standalone product called home care. So take a look at these plans. We feel like these plans weren't anything that, we actually relied on a lot of agent input on these plans. I'll be honest with you, one of the reasons that we just recently introduced the $2,000 benefit on the dental, vision, and hearing, we'd already filed that. We've actually filed higher benefit amounts. We didn't launch them at first initially because we felt like, all right, the 1,000 and 1,500 are adequate. We had feedback from agents at various times, just different random conversations, and they said, well, how come you don't offer something higher, a higher maximum or annual, benefit? They said, we write more. We just like something a little bit more robust, if you want to call it that. So we threw it out there. We put it out there as an option. Hospital indemnity flex. Originally, when that was launched, it was called hospital indemnity. It only had a lump sum benefit. So if you wanted to put a $1,500 benefit on there, somebody gets hospitalized for 24 hours or more, where they're either confined or being held under observation, it pays a benefit. Somebody says, well, you know what? We do all this MA business with Aetna. A lot of these other carriers offer a daily benefit. How come you guys don't offer a daily benefit? That would allow us to keep the premium down. We don't necessarily need a lump sum. We want to do X amount, for the first 7 days or the first 5 days. And that helps. And we did. So, these plans were not things that we just sat around and said, well, what's good for us? We really wanted to make sure it was good for you too, as well as especially for your clients. We have a quarter bonus going on as well. Hopefully you're aware of this. Now, this isn't available in all states. It's, you know, it's kind of tricky in what our legal people allow us to offer. But bottom line is you have to write at least 5 Medicare supplements with us. They don't all have to be underwritten, or they don't have to be all, you know, whatever the situation is. But the payout after you write 5, we're only paying on underwritten business and open enrollment. So even though you may write, let's say you write 3 underwritten cases and 2 GI or 2 guarantee issue cases, that's your 5 apps, you're good. You're only going to get paid the $75 if you use electronic app on an underwritten case. Paper apps are only $25. Open enrollment is $25 each on an e-app and $10 on paper. And then we add on for you a $25 bonus per application for any of our ancillary products. The reason I threw this in here right where it is, I normally save, you know, bonus information towards the end, but we're going to talk about final expense, and final expense is not part of this program. Okay, so I just had it put in here. You can get more information if you want on this, obviously, at our website. The other beautiful thing about it is you can track your status at the website as well. Okay, so you can see where you're at, what you're doing. All right, so let's jump over to the final expense. If I have everybody online still, I haven't lost half of you yet. You're not asleep or getting more coffee or something. Let's talk about the life insurance. You know, life insurance is one of those things where when you think about statistically, you know, and you see it advertised, from Alex Trebek used to do it, and all these people, you know, in the mornings or whatever, like 46% of people in the country don't have life insurance. Think about the population of the United States. 46%, almost 50% of people don't have life insurance. You know, there's all kinds of weird, 59% of people would struggle or have to borrow money to cover a $1,000 bill, an emergency bill, if something happened to them. You know, the average life expectancy, you know, or the end of life expenses, you know, we used to say about $10,000. Really, it's higher now. It's probably closer to $18,000, give or take. You know, when you look at end of life, when you look at someone's, you know, debt, their household bills, you take a little inflation in there. So household expenses, debt, funeral costs equals subtotal, which is all that stuff I just talked about, hubble and jubble, and your final estimate you can see to include inflation multiplied by the subtotal by the inflation factor for the number of years you reach age 90. That's kind of the formula that they use for inflation, that portion of it. But, you know, bottom line is there's lots of bills that have to be paid sometimes. And even though people will say, you know, my wife being one of them, she's like, oh, well, I just want to be cremated. Well, that is less expensive, obviously, than going through the whole process of you know, the regular burial. But there's still expenses. People still have credit card debt. People still have car payments. People may still have house payments. And, you know, when someone passes away, those things somebody else got to pick those up, help cover the expenses for the funeral and all that stuff, that if you can just set aside a little money, and whether you call it final expense or you call it burial insurance, funeral insurance, you know, I was talking to some agents one time, this goes back years ago, and they said, you know, I don't really like to call it final expense when I'm talking to my clients. And I said, well, why not? And they said, well, a lot of my clients don't like to hear the word final. And I just kind of laughed. I said, well, I excuse me. I said, I understand that. I said, it is something we really don't want to sit around and think about much, but at the end of the day, it is inevitable that it will happen. So this particular product, what's cool, the CVS Accendo, which is what we're talking about here on the final expense, is the super preferred rate. Qualifying applicants can get a super preferred rate, which is 10% lower than the preferred rate. Okay? What that means is how they trigger that. Well, they get the super preferred rate, and they get a 10% discount if they come over to us as being buying or purchasing a underwritten Medicare supplement within the past 180 days. Okay, so it's really a neat, different strategy. We could not allow CMS to discount the Medicare supplement premium, but we could discount the life insurance. We also set up a deal now where Social Security payments, you actually can choose, or your client can choose, when they want their automatic payments to be paid so that it aligns with their Social Security benefits when they get paid, whether it be the second, third, fourth, whatever, how that works. There's some optional riders that are available for the level plan only. You can write this ages 40 to 89. There's no medical exam required. And we're offering what we consider pretty flexible coverage, because remember, again, you're not talking about, $500,000, $1 million policy. This is more monies or funds to help fund that end-of-life experience, if you want to call it that. You're not going to realize it's going on if you're the person that passed, but your siblings, aunts, uncles, whoever's around will so appreciate this. And we all know this as agents, that this is very important. And so there's anywhere from $2,000 up to $50,000 for selected ages. Okay, you can see on this chart where it's available. Final expense seems to go a little easier, faster. I like it because I work out in the West, and I've actually finally got a product in the state of Washington. But it's been a long time coming. But, you can see that we typically have never offered any products in Washington state itself. So it's nice to finally say that we do have something. We have it even available in Hawaii and Alaska. So for those folks of you that want to get out of the country, if you want to call it out of the country, at least off the mainland, it's available there as well. And we do, just so you know, because this just changes often, we do have a product availability chart out on our website as well. But you can go out there and you can see where the Accendo is. It will tell you what the household discount is for Accendo. It will tell you what the household discount is for, whatever entity is available there in that state, and so forth. So it'll also tell you, now not all of those ancillary products, by the way, just backtracking just a touch, are available in all states. Some states don't like or don't care for those short-term care products. Some of them don't, believe it or not, don't care for the cancer, heart attack, or stroke product. So you can check all of those out on the website on that product availability chart. Let's talk a little bit about plan benefits. I talked about there being a level benefit. Obviously, that is if a person answers all the health questions no, they're going to qualify for that. You can see where we were talking about different levels. Based on your age, there is a maximum you can apply for, okay? Or you can get, if you want to call it that. The full benefit is going to be paid immediately, whether you die of an accidental death or if you die of a non-accidental death. But you can see if you're between 40 and 55, you can get a maximum benefit of up to $50,000, and then 56 to 65, it's $40,000, and so forth. I just had an agent the other day that was telling me, he wrote a $30,000 policy on a gal, and he said she couldn't have been more tickled. The underwriting, it's not a guarantee issue, but it's totally simplified underwriting, and it's a process that she felt like she really didn't think she could get coverage. And this gal down in Utah is now, knowing that when something does finally happen to her, that she'll be able to help take care of herself. There is a modified benefit. Okay, now modified just simply means that it's going to pay out differently for a non-accidental death. But then you also can see that while I say the product goes up to age 89, if someone falls into the modified bucket or category, the maximum they're going to be able to purchase is $25,000. And that's simply because they probably have, or not probably, they do have a condition or something that triggered them to answer yes to one of the questions, and therefore they did not qualify for the level benefit. But the great thing is you can say, you know what, it's okay. We can still get you some coverage. And as I said, oftentimes, $10,000, that's kind of the threshold. You can go a little higher if they have the funds to do it, but at least $10,000. Same way on a cancer, heart attack, stroke benefit. $10,000 is really about where you need to be for that type of benefit, because that's going to help cover those those expenses that come to treating cancer and etc. Now there is a annual on this. This is a little different when it comes. I like to point this out. I see it down at the bottom where they stuck it this time. The annual policy fee on this is $40. So that is an annual. That is baked. I call it baked into the rate. It's figured into the rates. So it is fully commissionable for you as well. And just keep that in mind as well. It's $40, so it gets baked in there, and they won't necessarily have to be reminded of that every time they pay. Well, if they pay it monthly or if they pay it annually, however, or semi-annually. So I talked about the riders. There's 3 riders, and this is again if someone qualifies for the level plan only. There's an accelerated death benefit rider, which will pay 50% of the death benefit. And that's if the physician provides a written certification the insured meets the definition. In other words, where they've been diagnosed with something or something's happened where they don't have long to live. The accidental death benefit rider will pay 100% of the base policy amount for an accidental death if that should happen. It's issuable for ages 40 through 70. And then this is something, our other final expense plan we had no riders on it. It was just, it was what it was. But it's nice because this one even has a child, grandchild, term insurance rider where it'll provide coverage through the age of 25 for a child, stepchild, a legally adopted child, grandchildren, or even legally adopted grandchildren or a great-grandchild. And you can add that on there because, sometimes when you're talking to seniors or old people, they have a really, really close relationship with their grandchildren, for instance. And that's something that, they'd like to leave them something, or, if something should happen to them, and they can get anywhere from $2,500 in benefit up to $10,000 per child to leave, to be paid out should they pass. So that's a nice little extra benefit, if you want to call it that. Also, there is the cash value flexibility in this. Just as kind of, I know this is what would I say, life insurance 101, but it has the non-forfeiture options in there that they can choose up front, the reduced paid up, extended term, automatic premium load, and then also where it builds cash value automatically. That's all, again, really the idea is that if something happens where somebody ends up having a policy for a few years, let's say, and it lapses or they can no longer afford it, they have some options that they can look at. So start selling. I mentioned and talked a lot about the e-app. Might have beat that to the ground, but be sure to try to use that as much as you can. It is really the easiest way to go right now. Health questions. Review the health questions in Section 2, Part A of the application. You can determine the level of coverage, whether you like to do what you want to call it, the math or the formula on debt and credit card bills. I guess that's all debt, but you know what I'm saying. Whatever they need to pay off or will want to pay off. And then also be sure to go into the enrollment tracker and track the real-time status of the application, again, on AetnaSeniorProducts.com. For those of you, I don't know where everybody's located. I know a lot of folks are probably across the country. We have got a designated sales team that actually works in 4 regions. I'm the one there, mugshot from a few years back on the left. And my team is actually at the bottom there. That's Dan Memory. He is actually based out of Illinois. And then Tanya Addison, she is my regional sales specialist. She's actually based, what I normally say is in the home office, but obviously nobody's in there at this particular point in time. Kevin Moore's out of Texas. He handles the South region, as we call it. And he's got Justine and Suzanne. George is in the Midwest. Now, his lay of the land is kind of funny the way it's mapped out. He's got the Midwest, but in case you didn't know this, Pennsylvania, New Jersey do fall in the Midwest for you map geography gurus. That's how we roll. I kind of think that's funny. As a matter of fact, I was just talking over the weekend to an agent from Pennsylvania or from New Jersey, and I was joking with him. I said, well, you're in George's region. You're in the Midlands or Midwest region. And he just kind of had that pause, and he says, but I'm in New Jersey. I said, well, you didn't know New Jersey was in the Midwest. But no, it's just how it worked out. And then Jeff Nasser, he's actually out of Indiana, and he handles what we call our Eastern region. and he's got Paul and Colleen there. So, again, if you're in one of these states, or it doesn't matter who you reach out to. We also have our agent services team, which is at 866-272-6630. You see that there at the bottom. That's kind of a catch-all number. I'm sure the folks at AIM are more than happy to help you and can do a lot of things. But if you, between the website and our agent services team, if you need anything on our end, that's the way to get us. And then if you obviously be sure to utilize the good folks there at AIM to help you out with your, with whatever else you need, because they all know how to get a hold of us and get answers and so forth. So that is really what I have on those two products. I hope I hope everybody hung in there and didn't get too bored, but it's not that deep of a dive, but hopefully it's enough, that you can have some good takeaways. Maybe something interests you, and you can, get the information on it, or go download a form or something, or go look at it on our website and get a sales kit, look at the questions, get in the sandbox, play around with it a little bit if you haven't, and just go from there. So with that being said, I guess should I throw it back over to Anthony, or am I throwing it back over to you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Right here. Wow, thank you, Tony. That was actually an amazing webinar. We learned a lot, of course, and these two products being used together in such a different way gives our agents more than just one option, and they even could save a sale, and that's huge, especially in this business. Again, we appreciate you being able to join us today.
Yeah.
And before we go to the questions, I'm just going to announce one more time, our next webinar will be Wednesday, November 4th at 9 a.m. with AIM's very own Don Erickson and Greg Esposito from GTL, going over short-term home health care for GTL. Now, really quick, I'm going to go over a couple questions. One of the questions is from Darren Brown, and he asks, can you please state the website once again?
Absolutely. I can do that, or if you, excuse me, Anthony, if you want to do it. But yeah, it's all one word. It's kind of long, but it's AetnaSeniorProducts.com. Matter of fact, I don't know if I have I was going to go back here and see if I had some place where I could pop it up in front of you. I know I mentioned it, but I don't think we actually have it in there. So yeah, AetnaSeniorProducts.com.
Perfect. And then it looks like there was a couple questions as well as that, but
okay.
We pretty much got to those, which was a couple one from Lee Tang and then one from Herb Newell. They asked about Washington, but we already answered that with Accendo. It's available for final expense in Washington, just not for the Medicare supplement.
Yeah.
And
let me see.
We have one more from Oregon as well, or asking about Oregon, which of course it is for, again, the final expense, just not for the Medicare supplement. It has been applied, and we'll go from there. If approved in Oregon, great. But as of now, we have the final expense approved in Oregon.
Yeah, and what I was going to pull up real quick, Anthony, just so people can see this, because I think there's something else. If you guys can you see that product availability chart I've got in front of you?
Yeah, I can.
Okay, great. I just was going to, in Washington State, we do also offer our cancer, heart attack, and stroke product as well. So this is just for those of you that wonder what the heck this busy, colorful looking thing is, this is actually the product availability chart. And I have it saved to my desktop because I have to refer to it from time to time, especially since I work with national marketers that sell in other states that are outside of my region. You're selling in, somebody say, well, what entity are you selling in Kentucky? And I don't work with that every day, so I have to look it up. But this is what it looks like. So you can see on the left-hand side there in the purple, that's our Medicare supplements. That's in other words, that's the Continental Life, the American Continental I talk about. Accendo's in the next column, and you can see that we've included the household discount because I think there's one or two states like North Dakota, New Mexico, Minnesota, and Rhode Island. Some of these states we don't have a household discount in to offer, and then like Oregon, it's only 5%. So, and like Oregon, we offer Continental Life there. So but then as you go across this, you can see that there's the final expense, which is our old original final expense plan. Then we have the new Accendo final expense, and then there are to the right in that teal color is our ancillary products. So
Yeah.
and the nice thing about all the ancillary products are all on Continental Life Insurance paper. So that's why you see CLI and all those. But you can also see where states where we don't have anything, or we don't have all of them. Like, look at Connecticut. We don't have a whole lot of nothing. I know we do have our ancillary, a few of them, 3 of them. But you can see we don't even offer a Med Supp in Connecticut. Same way in DC. So use this if you're selling in multiple states, or if it can be of help to you. Again, it's at our website, or you can call our agent services team. We can get you a copy of it too, or maybe folks at AIM could even do it too.
Yeah. So
sorry.
If anyone has any other questions outside of that or needs the product availability chart, feel free to give us a call here at AIM. We'll be able to get that out to you and answer any questions you need. And other than that, seems like we had a pretty good webinar. No more questions. Again, I appreciate you for joining us today, Tony. That's huge. Look forward to working more with you in the future.
Yep, and I did find out from Steve Patton, who is our director of sales. He was going to be on here to actually just kind of say a few words, and unfortunately he got tied up with some they call it the EC executive committee meeting or something. So unfortunately he couldn't join us, but I know he was looking forward to saying hi to everybody, and he appreciates everything AIM does, and of course all of you folks out there in the field do what you do. And I hope everybody has a great AEP, and we'll get through 2020, get on to 2021 soon.
Thank you, Tony. Appreciate you having
Thank you all.
The rest of your day.
You too.
Everyone.
Everybody else have a good one too. Bye-bye.